All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the second class of week 3. 2 more classes after this. All right, so tonight we're going to be the announcements first. Please, if you have anything you want to resubmit, take advantage of it. I accept resubmissions from even week 1 all the way to the end of the last class, to the end of week 4. Today's class, we're going to be covering some terminology and a little more on coding. As always, if you have any questions, please contact me. All right, so we're talking here how to use loop control structures. All right, so as I was discussing last night, all right, so if I want red, if this equals 10, this is going to be red. It equals 8, it'll be orange. So, as I said, watch. 10, the green shows up. Whoops, I think I put that one in the wrong place. So I'm turning the yellow light on when it should be the green. So in other words, orange is on right. Try to get a 10 in there on the yellow and see what it is. Yep. So the green one I programmed wrong, okay? So that is considered a syntax error. Now there's a difference in these two colors, but not very much. So we're going to change that one as well, okay? So first things first, the way to do this, it's a programming, okay? So if this equals 3, then this stays white. If it equals 10, it goes red. If it equals 6, it stays white. Everything but 10, so that's what it is. That's our loop, right? As we discussed last night. So, conditional formatting, manage the rules there. All right, so I have this cell does not contain a blank. So, no blanks. So if it's not blank, I've converted the text. There is text in there. So based off the text that's in there, the text stays white no matter what, and the fill becomes the color that's there. But now if it contains a value, contains blanks, that one should be indigo. Well, what exactly is indigo? It's a light blue, right? So what we'll do is, best way to do it, because look, this gives me the choice of all these, right? So I could change them depending on which one of these. Let's see, is there an indigo? No, there is no indigo. Colors, we go there or we can go here. Well, let's go to the RGB, grayscale, and we're going to do RGB since this is internet, right? All programming's on internet, so we'll be using the hex color indigo. So we can get that by indigo hexadecimal code. Indigo hexadecimal code. Okay, so indigo is right here. RGB 750130. So let's go back. 750130. And 4B0082. Let's go back and look. 4B0082. So that's perfect. So there's our indigo. All right, so that's now done. All right, so that one's set. See, so now that's indigo and violet. Now, our green, we had it wrong as well, so we're going to change that. So manage the rules. Green, so contains the blank value. is when it turns on. So now we go to the custom format. Instead of yellow, that should be green. And we're going to grab the green. Okay. 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 Now watch. Here we go again. Ten is orange. Let's see. Indigo. So I'm turning the light on depending on the color. All right. So the light goes on when the 10 is reached. This is how you program lights. Flashing lights for like Christmas tree, holiday season colors, stuff like that. You'd program them using something like this, but it'd be a true-false statement. But with this many, you could say if it's 1, this. Okay, so now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So now we're going to use 7 numbers, all right, instead of 10. 1 to 7. 1 to 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. And 7. Now, remember, I have an if-then statement here. So no matter what I do, right now, that if-then says if it's 10, right? Well, now, if this is 1, it's red. So we'll go back. If this equals 1, then null. If this one equals 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. All right, so now, if that's this one, now it's going off the color. This is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, okay? So now, watch. So that one's 4. Green should be 4, right? And here, let's do this to make it easier. 1 period. 2. This way you could remember as well. All right, now, so as you can see, the number here is what it's going to be, right? So here we go. The 3 is green, and you get green. I need to check these two. See what I did wrong. Manage colors. So 3 should be yellow. Okay. So 3 should be yellow instead of green. So we're going to edit that rule. Custom. And that one should be yellow. Okay. This one should be green. But it's changing them. So what we're going to have to do, we're going to copy this. Command C. Now, what I need to do, okay, there we go. Conditional formatting right here, I need to clear rules from selected cell. All right, and as you can see, the green pops up. All right, so now I got to walk it through it, okay? So now they're not going to be tied anymore. And this is how you fix your syntax errors. Step-by-step troubleshooting. All right, so we go a new rule. We want classic rules. So only if the cell is blank, then we go to custom. Background will be green if it's blank. and the font will be white. Okay, now, other than that, well, why is it showing up? Well, here, let's watch what happens. There, we have the 4, so it's gone, right? Because it's null. Now we need to say all the font. So manage the rules, all the font. Notice the other one's gone. So plus, we're adding another rule to this. So this is how you get your sub loops, okay? So it's looking at 2 factors. One can be true and one can't. One may be true, and they both may be true. Okay, so we're gonna go custom. All right, so the font is always going to be white. Okay, if format is not blank, the font's white. There we go. So now, okay, now watch. Oh, that's close. Now we got to see what I did wrong. Manage the rules for that cell. Okay, so up here now, let's edit that rule. No blanks, the custom format. So the font is going to be white. The fill, there will be no fill. All right, because it's blank. And okay. And there we have it. Now watch. Okay, 4 is green. 1's red, 2's orange. Yellow, indigo. Red, yellow. Orange, blue. We're still waiting for the green to pop up. So let's go a little faster. And I'm hitting my delete key. There we go. The green popped up. So now they all work. All right. So this is a great example of an if-then and a loop. All right. So we're going to save this file. Save as. Loop for colors. This one is Programming 102, Week 3. All right, now, okay, so let's go back to the class. All right, we've talked about how to use loop control structure, which we've done. We just showed you, and how to troubleshoot it, all right? Nested loops, and the way you troubleshoot that, you look at your writing just like a nested loop. All right, so let's bring up the documents for this class. All right, so I have the loop. I have the while loop. For each loop, nested loop. Open. All right, so we're going to start here. Now we no longer need this. Clear clipboard. All right, so let's start with the for loop. Well, let's start with the nested. That was weird, it separated them. Where's my nested loop? There we go. There's the nested. All right, so now we're going to start with the nested loop. All right, on the nested loop, so we can shut that now. All right, with a nested loop, you start, go down, we select a random number, okay? Now consider the way we just did that Excel spreadsheet. It was a random number. Does it equal 10? No. Leaves the cell number. Leaves the cell null. Well, actually, if it's no, we were having it leave the cell color. Or, yeah, we left it null. And then it goes back. So it stays white, right? But if it was yes, we fill the cell with the selected color. Do you want to try again? Yes. Then we hit the delete key and select another random number. If we say no, we just end. Now, the reason this is nested, look at this. This loop where we're not getting what we want is inside of what we got what we wanted. All right? We achieved what we wanted, but then choose to go again. Now here, this is inside of that. This is a loop inside of it till we get what we want. All right? Then once we have what we want, we can do it again. So, once again, does the number equal 10? No. We leave the cell blank. Start over. Select a random number. Yes. Okay, we fill the cell with the selected color. Do I want to try another? Yes. Okay. So, the nested loop is where it's always a no at the beginning. Then we get another loop outside of that, running it again if we want to. So this loop is inside of that loop, okay? That's why it's called nested loop. Next, what color is picked based on a for each? Now, this is kind of very similar, all right? So we could say, this is where with programming, there's more than one way to do things. Select a random number. Does that number equal 10? Yes. Leave the cell null and fill with a color. And then we're at the end. Now, we could choose to go again and put a sub loop, nested loop inside of this for each. But if not, no, leave it null and go back and do it again. See how that could duplicate our work now, how we could, either way we want, we can actually choose which way to program it. We can do a for each and do it itself, but if I'm making it do it, the nested loop was easier, okay? All right. This is our normal loop, okay? For a normal loop, we start, look at the student number. Does the student number equal 10? No. We print the name of that student on the screen, go back, add a number. So I should have something else here for adding a number. Look at student number. So this will now be 2. So I should have an input here. All right. There should be an input there and an add point there to make this an actual loop, the for loop. All right. And then print the last one. All right. Next is the while loop. Start at student number. While this equals 10, does the student number equals 10? No. Print the student name on the screen. No. So it's false. This is backwards, like I said yesterday. Remember that. And I left this so I could stress this. Remember, does it equal? Is it true that the student's number is 10? If it's true, print student name on screen. Then we hit the end. If it's false, we will print student name on screen and go back, add one, and look at the student number. Okay? So that's the loops. So next, now we're going to talk about arrays. What is an array? There are many types of arrays. There's a few types of arrays. All right? So an array is basically a collection of the data elements of the same type. All right, let's give you an example of an array here. Matt, John, Jill, Steph, Leo, Annie, and Leah. All right, now we're going to put, let's insert name, gender. All right, so now a good example for this one, male, we're going to center all that. Go. Male, female, female, male, female, female. All right, now, the array of this would be, if we group this up starting at 0, all right? So we have 0. How many to get this array of females are there? Well, we could do this a couple ways. Like if I'm doing this, I'm going to auto filter, come up here, and turn off male. Now I have 4 females showing. So that is an array of data. If I turn it off female, 3 males, there's the array of male data. There's the array of all people involved. So we're breaking this down, all right, for the arrays. We could go, examples are lists, names, numbers, tables, and so on. Now, to really do this, an array would be M's, F's. All right, so, all right, how many males are there? All right, so this is where, if it's male, we add 1, right? We count. So we're going to take this selection of data and an array, all right? So, for example, and this is where our formulas come in. All right, so let's do count. Count, notice it didn't give me anything to count, all right? So what I want to do is, now we're going to go ahead and do more functions. There we go. And I want the counts. All right, so I'm going to count if. All right, so we count on this. The range. All right, criteria, M. Center. All right, and we're going to do the same thing. Count. Range. Oh, no. And the criteria is female. There we go. And then a total. So we'll put the total like that. Now my total equals the sum of this. So I've just done an addition in there, right? So my array, 3 males, 4 females. That's the array of data I chose to look at. This is the array of everybody involved, all the names, okay? So I chose the array of names. Now, what we're going to do is I'm going to do another array, count, if this is null. Okay, 7 because it's not null. Now if I put null, watch this. There are 0 now, all right? So that's how that works. That's how those arrays work, all right? So I'm selecting the array. So not null is what that means. So there's 7 exactly. Now I could have done that by adding or doing it, but I wanted to show an array of the names with an array of males and an array of females, all right? Now, for example, if I want to set an array, all right, what I can do is we're going to do, let's go over here to Word. And we're going to write this down, all right? All right. So now, remember, we have our start. Now we're going to say the integer, which is it's going to be type, name, variable size, variable name size, okay? Well, no, we're going to do initializing an array to count. So it's going to be in the initial is X. All right. And then X equals 0. All right, now we start the array. Because we say integer X, the integer is X, and X starts at 0. All right. Now we add a list of arrays that we want. All right. So we go int list open, and let's do 4. Okay, so we're taking this out. All right. So we're making a string here of an array. So just remember, the restrictions of the same type is an important one because arrays are stored in consecutive memory cells. All right. Every cell must be the same type and therefore the same size. All right. So now we're putting this integer in here equals bracket 2, 4, 6, 8. Close bracket, semicolon. All right, now I have just set this up so that X becomes 2, but I no longer need this because I'm actually just using this. And now, end. So it's the same thing. And then the array would be adding it, right? So the array of that one is 2, 4, 6, and 8. All right, now, if we're using type, which is the characters, it's different. Because there's no actually type in the language, okay? So a C-style string is what we're going for here, is implemented as an array of type of character, ends with a special character called the null character. So it's an ASCII value of 0. ASCII is basic 0. Everything starts there with ASCII. Let me pull up the ASCII code, all right? The ASCII chart for you. The ASCII code table. what that does is it means if I want this symbol, if I want a capital A and uppercase A, 65 is what I use. Hexadecimal code, 41. The decimal code is 65, all right? So that's how you do it. Depending on the programming language you're using, it varies. The regular, the decimal, hexadecimal, octesimal, the TNN, and this is the character, all right? So it varies depending on the code you're using. Now, some of them could be a chart. 01 is null. Yep, there's my hexacode. Now, 010 would be delete. 020 is space, and so on, all right? So that's how you start using those. The ASCII table is just a numeric of how to get to the correct number that you want, all right? And you still set up the largest size. For example, in this, well, this is 4 characters. 1, 2, 3, 4. List 4. Now, if I just wanted characters, that would be where I do something like numlist. And we'll do this doing an array. The array is 5 numbers, 1, 2. So the array would be 1, 2, 0, 0, 0, 0, because the others would give us above 10 if we're going for 10, right? Well, let's take a look. 10 don't exist, does not exist, don't exist. Wow. Now 10 does not exist. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and so on, okay? There we go. A full one, 0, 0, 0, 1. This is it. Now ASCII, using hexadecimals, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, A, B, C, D, E, F, because it's done in 9 increments, okay? Decimals, 1 and up, all right? No matter what, when we set the array size, right here, it has to be a number, okay? If it's a letter, it's not going to work. Looking at my notes here. All right, so now we get into strings. We'll get into strings more next week, actually. That'll be a lot easier to understand the strings. Just remember, an array is a list of the numbers. The array is our, and we did, just like right here. Notice, count if this equals m. Well, we put an m there, but that's still at a numerical value, okay? All right, the array, like I said, is the names broken down into 2 subarrays, which is male and female, all right? Double checking my notes. Okay, let's bring back up the color. The loop for colors. Oh, it's there. It's line 1. That's right. All right, so what I did is set this, the array is if this equals 1. The array is this number here, 1 through 7. All right? that it's randomly picking. And if it hits a certain number, this color comes up. But if not, that stays null. So the if then, if this equals 1, then this becomes red. If this does not equal 1, then this stays blank. Does that make sense? All right, so we have the count, the initializing arrays. All right, we've got all that. Now let's discuss the other things here. All right. Don't save. Let's go back to the class. All right. Now, the rules to declare when to use lists and tables. As you can see, we're starting to build that with the arrays. To have an array, you have to have a list. But when do you use a table? Well, in this case, this could be considered a table because this is the number looking at this color. If this number equals that number, that's the color we put there. So it can be a table. So if it's a list, it's just down, all right? We wouldn't need anything else. But a table, you need more numbers, more cells. Sorry, not numbers, but cells. And those cells work together, all right? So this would be a table. If I actually program this to be number 1, this would be 1. And if it said that, based off a random number, okay, so that's how that works. If this equals red from a chart, then this would be this, okay? So that's when you use a chart. If it's red, okay, now we're just pulling out the red. If this equals 6, we pull out the red. So this would be a table. Let's read the table. So if open this, come on. The equals, there we go, that does it. Remember, in Excel, you always have to put the equals. If this equals null, then 1. Otherwise, this. Oh, the value just came back. So if this is, if A1, there we go, equals null, there we go. There we go. Then it equals it. So if I take this out, and we take this down, see, it went to 1 because it was empty. So that's using a list, all right? Just using a list. And you can make it all sorts of different things. If list is red, says red, so it would only have one thing and all the rest would be a 1. All right? Now we do this, not equal to, and it goes to 0. All right? Because, well, it equals 1, otherwise A7. Well, here I said if it's greater than or less than E1, I didn't make a null, so I needed to take this out. All right? Now watch. So that puts it back to that because A7 equals itself. If A7 is not equal to E1, which E1's blank, So is not equal to blank blank, then it's going to be a 0. So when you use the not equal to in this, we get basically a number, all right? So because this is null, it becomes back as null. Oh, wait, that is null because it's empty. So it puts a 0. Now watch. Command V. Violet. Now watch. Okay. So if A7 is not null, 1. Well, we need to actually make that equal because not null, we would want A7. Otherwise, we would want 1, right? So that's how you change that. So if A7 is not equal to null, then we want this listed. So you could do that 2 ways. All right. But this is still the list. By using a chart, that would be having this all the way down, okay? Just like using these two, and it decides this one. That's where you use a chart. And the reasons you would use a chart, a list, okay, how many people do we have? Break them down alphabetically, how many A's, how many B's, how many C's, or how many females, how many males. Then we start getting into the chart because we have names associated with the females. But if we didn't have the names, how many females, how many males do we have? That's where you use a list. But if I have the names and then male, female, then I'm using a chart to figure that out. All right? All right, so the next thing we want to discuss bubble sort. To bubble sort, it's basically the simplest algorithm, okay? So what it does is if, let's say, see these numbers, they're not in numerical order. Bubble order would take, start at the 4, and it would put, let's see, 4, and then the 6 would be next because it is the lower one. Whoops, I'm changing that every time we do this. So what we're going to do is all right, so now we're going to do 1. So let's do 4, 6, 4, 3, 1, 2, 5. 5, 6, 7. All right, so the way this would do it, by bubble sort. All right, so 4 is next to the 6. 4 is the lower one. It's going to be the first number. All right. 6 is next, is just before 7, so this will stay. 6. Now 7 to 3. So now we're going to put the 3, 7, the 1 to the 2, so it's, but because the 1 is next to that, these two will move down, and the 1 goes there. 3, 7. All right. Now the 2, because it's supposed to be up there, and then this 1 will keep moving up. So it'll go up to here. 1, 4, 6. All right. Now we hit the 2. Well, the 2 is going to do the same thing. It's going to start here. Then it's going to move. Then it's going to move. Okay, and then it's going to move up. But the problem is this 3 should have already moved up. So make sure when you're doing this, and this is where we get our syntax errors. Okay, so now what we're going to do, we're going to do this the actually way it's supposed to do it. All right, 4 is not the first number, so it's going to place the 4 here. 6, 7. Now the 3 is going to be placed here. Okay, then it's going to move up. And it's going to move up again. So it's doing it numbers right next to each other. And you know what? I forgot to move the 4. There we go. Okay. Now, this is where the 3 would hit, but now we're hit the 1. So the 1 will go here. 1, 6. 1, 4. 1, 3. So the 1 is now up here because we've hit the 2, and it's going to work its way up here. 3, 4. Now we're at the 5. And see how that works it up? The next number that it's closest to, it moves them around. It compares the first 2 elements and swaps since 4 is less than 6, it'll keep it. 6 is less than 7. But 3 is less than 7, so it'll switch those 2 around. And then 3 is less than 6, it switches them. 3 is less than 4, so it switches them. Okay? So that's bubble sorting. Okay, now the binary search. For a binary, what it does is it splits the record in half. All right, so let's say, let's go to this one. We have 8 records, 7 records. Well, we're going to add one more just because, okay? So these we no longer need. All right, now we're going to add one more. All right, now what it does is I want to find the name Mark. It'll split it into 4. And 4. And in the same process, binary is searching both those now, okay? And it's throwing away, it'll throw away these top 4 because, well, it's only in this bottom 4 group. That's a binary search, okay? So we just condensed my records to these 4. Then we do it again, and it gets condensed to those 2. Then it gets condensed to that 1. Because it wasn't in here, these are now gone. All right? Well, it's in here. So we're going to make that yellow. All right, now we break it in half again. Whoops. Command 1. To do this, we're going to just make it a dotted line. Right there. All right, so it's not in these half. Guess what? Gone. So now it divides these 2. All right, now by dividing those 2, come on, it didn't leave it. There we go. There we go. Now, by dividing these two, this one is now gone. All right? So that's how binary does it. Splits them in half, throws away the top half it's not in. Splits those in half. Boom. All right? And the last one that we want to discuss. All right, so we've got binary, bubble, and let's go back and take a look. What is it? Serial searches, all right? For a serial search, it's a little bit different than the binary. All right? It's where you're given a set of elements organized in a sequence. Search for a sequence of specific element in the set by following the sequential order of that set. All right, so we've got them here, all right? What it does is it starts at the top. If this is it, we stop. If this is it, we stop. If not, we go to here. If not, we go to here. If not to here, if not to here, if not to here. Oh, there it is. We stop. Okay. So it's basically, if it's true, we stop. If not, we continue. All right. So that's how you do it. And that's the different types of searches. So we've covered a lot tonight. Tonight, we've gone through more of the loop control structure, how to create nested loops, the for each loop, learn different types of arrays, because arrays could be groups, subgroups, numbers, letters, the rules and declare to use lists and tables, and bubble sort, serial searches, and binary searches. With all of these, you could play with it here if you want, all right? So I've given you examples of using them. Again, so this we're going to get rid of. And we're going to do this here, get rid of these. Uh-oh. Now, what happened? Oh yeah, nothing equals there. That one equals 7. And this is an array because it equals, when it equals 6 on that one, indigo. So this is an array off of a chart. When this equals this, then we get this. 3 equals 3, 4 equals 4. 4 equals 4. 1 equals 1. 1 equals 1, 2 equals 2, and 6 equals 6. That's how that works. All right? So we're using a chart here. When this equals this. So if this equals this, then this. If not, it's null. All right? All right, we're going to delete this sheet. No longer need it. Delete. All right, save this. So as you can see, we've got all our arrays. This is an array. This is an array, right? But that's a random array. Whoops, I didn't want to delete it. There we go. The random array, once the random lines up, we stop, and it turns on the lights. So it would be a continuous, just like this, on blinky lights. With various, and it's random. It's not a set. Now, if we did this, Excel might have a limit on its randomness. But I'm not going to look at that tonight. That's something to look at later. All right? So we could probably look at that next week with some extra time on the last class. So that being said, you guys have a nice evening. I look forward to seeing you again and seeing your work again. Please take your opportunity to resubmit. Have a nice evening, and I'll talk to you soon.